going on, guys? Welcome to episode number 20 of the Proven Knowledge Podcast, the Creator Series. Today's guest is a producer, an artist, overall incredible musician, I'd say, Jon Content. He's out of Chicago. He informed me, though, that he recently moved to Nashville, so that's where he called me from today. Hit him up a few months ago to kind of get him on here, and we finally made it happen today. I first discovered Jon's work, I think a couple years ago when Lupe Fiasco's album Droga Us Wave came out. He co-produced with Soundtrack on a song called King Nas, which was one of my favorite songs on the album. So I found it interesting that Soundtrack had co-produced with Jon, and I didn't know Jon, so I kind of did some deep diving to figure out who he was. Found out he was an MC himself. He does a lot of live performing. He plays drums, keys. He does a little bit of everything, to be honest. So today we talked about what his time management skills have been since he began his career. He brought up a good point that a few other artists had brought up, and we've kind of talked about it before, which is kind of just writing things down. Him and his family have a whiteboard with a lot of goals on it and things like that, and he says that's helped him not just in music but in life in general to be able to set goals for himself and really hold himself accountable to accomplish those goals. And I myself can speak that, and we'll talk about it in the episode, you'll hear it, that is a very good method. He revealed that he has his next album that he's planning to drop in February, probably around Valentine's Day. He's just getting that going in the writing stages and everything. Shorter episode today, really only around a half an hour, but I enjoyed the convo, and I'm looking forward to hopefully working with Jon, not just on maybe doing another interview soon, but hopefully we're going to be connecting doing music one day, and I'm trying to make it down to Nashville to work with some people soon, so hopefully we'll link back up. And I hope you guys just take some good bits from his story today from this episode. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, welcome everyone to episode number 20 of the Proven Knowledge Podcast, the Creator Series. Today's guest is out of Chicago, Illinois. He's an artist, a producer, an overall amazing musician, I'd say. Jon Content is here. How are you, man?
I'm doing well, man.
Awesome.
Appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, and I apologize. I made you wait a few months. I know. Got in contact with you in, I think, June about being on the show, so I appreciate you getting back with me about being on today. To start us off, kind of just give everyone who doesn't know you kind of just a bit of background about yourself. How'd you get started in music? How did that journey begin for you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I started off just always being a kid that was into music. Started off playing drums around 3, and I just always tinkered around with melodies as well. One of my first toys that I vividly remember playing with that got me into music was a Fisher-Price tape recorder as a kid, and I would take that thing around everywhere and record my own tapes. And then my mom and my dad, they got me a little Yamaha piano that had a voice recorder on it and a sampler, and that started getting me into production as well as a little kid. And I think I got serious about production around high school.
So you had kind of the long journey of kind of just from an early age, you knew kind of you wanted to do music then.
Oh yeah, definitely. Nice. From playing drums in church to being in marching band and jazz band, I always knew that music was it for me.
Yeah, I can hear it kind of just in what I've heard from your production and what I've heard from your actual music is just I can just tell you've had the years put in and the practice put in. So that's pretty incredible stuff. So I know So I know the last probably 7-8 months of this year has been wild. A lot of stuff going on, pandemic. We have a lot of racial tension in the country, kind of more so than usual. What do you think has been for you how have you been coping with a lot of the craziness in the world, and what have you been doing kind of to I don't know, maybe not go completely crazy through this whole time? Is there any new skill you've picked up or anything, or have you kind of just been moving
That's a great question,
normally?
Man.
Yeah.
I like that. Definitely been doing a lot of cooking and spending time with my family a lot more, and really started producing a lot for TV like that in commercials.
Nice.
So kind of like switching gears, and that's been something new for me, and challenging as well as creating stuff for Sync.
Mm-hmm.
And just been keeping my mind busy, man. Just not really trying to focus on the negative and just keeping it active.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, like, the whole sync licensing thing, that's been something I've been trying to get into recently, and just kind of studying how different that is from, like, trying to get placements with artists, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like night and day, really different approach to how you go about it and everything, so that's pretty cool. And I can tell, like, your style would fit with a lot of different, like, shows and things like that, so that's cool. And two, just, like, I'm glad to hear that you've been able to find positives in a lot of, you know, the negative stuff, so that's good to hear. And I know that's always good for the mental, like, health side of things, to be able to kind of just stay grounded and stay working and kind of work on positive things that are going to make, you know, people get through these tough times even more. You know, people need music more than anything. They need creativity more than anything. So
more than anything,
yes.
Man. And that's been I think I've probably been staying connected with my friends now, even more so with that as well. Oh, and also, like, within the past few months, I moved from Chicago to Nashville. So my family is out here.
Nice.
We moved to Nashville, so that's been my transition as well.
Nice. Another great music town, so kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's big out here.
Yeah, I gotta go there eventually. I got a few artists down there that I've been working with, so I kind of want to make a trip soon.
Yep. Let me know when you come down, man.
Oh, hell yeah, man. We should link up for sure. So would you say, I know you said you've been focusing more on production during this time. Are you working with primarily a lot of different artists and doing things for their albums and whatnot, or are you kind of focusing on your projects, what you have working on for your own music?
I've been collaborating with other producers right now, working primarily on sync licensing, just because I found that to be a lot more lucrative. I still enjoy the placements, and I'm still working on things for placements as well. But in the meantime, the process of working on stuff for sync, the payment is a lot quicker. It's a little less headache working with sync licensing versus, and it's really not the artist that's the headache. It's more so like label stuff, lawyer stuff, and paperwork. So I just really enjoy sync licensing.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Just like I said, I've been kind of researching that whole side of things for the past few months. Like, it's definitely so different, just everything about it. And I feel like it's probably harder to do that. Like, your music needs to be at a certain level to kind of, like, fit what a lot of shows and movies are going for, you know what I mean? Like, they're not just going to take...
I think it all depends, man. I think it all depends, because there's certain... If you watch certain TV shows, especially, like, reality TV, a lot of times the production isn't, like, stellar production, but it just fits what's going on. So, like, if you're someone that produces while you're watching a movie or while you're watching a TV show, I know that's something that we used to do all the time, like, not knowing what we were doing, but we would always, like, watch a movie on mute or watch TV shows on mute, or we would watch anime on mute and kind of create something that fits the mood of a scene. That's it. Like, it doesn't have to be the greatest masterpiece of all time. And sometimes I've gotten requests for people. They'll say, "Hey, can you, like, dial back and just make things, like, extremely simple?" So it just all depends on what fits.
It's also too, I think, like, there's so many opportunities for it, you know what I mean? Like, every piece of media, even if you don't recognize it, it has some type of music with it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So, like, it's always in demand. There are always going to be people looking for, you know, I need music for this YouTube video I'm making, or I need music for this TV show, for this indie movie I'm putting together. Like, there's always a need for it. So I think it's probably, like, the opportunities will come in time for a lot of people, so...
Oh, yeah.
But that's awesome, though. So I know you're an artist yourself. Is there any time you'd say you've ever kind of had, like, a writer's block as far as writing your own music? Are you able to push through any type of, like, barrier you have with you can't come up with the right lyrics at this time? Or have you ever encountered anything like that?
Oh, like there's a lot of people I know where they like write every day and just come up with something. For me, when it hits me, it hits me. I gotta like live it and then talk about it. I'm not the artist that's just gonna make up a story. Like if I'm talking about it, it happened to me or it happened to someone around me, and I was directly or indirectly involved in a situation. So it's definitely happened to me, but I don't mind spending time like on a song or a project. If I get it done in a year, cool. If I get it done in 2 years, cool. But I know that once it's done, I'm going to be extremely happy about it.
That's probably the most important thing too, is just making sure it's what you envisioned. You know what I mean? Like, you're not trying to force anything out of yourself that isn't going to be a representation of what you want it to be. So
correct.
And I think a lot of artists too, they kind of just feel like rushed, or they might not have enough studio time at, you know, this particular time, and they're trying to get things done, and then they end up looking back on the finished product and they're not as happy with it as they should have been. So I think, like with you, I think that's the better approach, is to just really understand what you want for your own music and take your time with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just going to be better.
I would rather produce something that I know that I'm going to be proud of.
Yeah.
And that means something, because I've always been able to tell, as a fan of music, the difference when someone has put the time and the energy and the soul into something. Like, as listeners, we hear that and we can tell the difference. So I wouldn't want to cheat my audience from when they're listening to stuff to like having something that sounds rushed or that sounds like I didn't put my all into it. And
with the amount of songs I feel like we're able to make too as creators, you know, you don't have to put every single thing out there. You can really craft it to be exactly or damn near exactly what you want, and really give your audience the best that you can offer. So that's that's for sure something I would advise pretty much anyone to do. Is there a piece of advice you've been given by, I don't know, your family or someone you've met throughout your career that has kind of stuck with you so far, that you've kind of ran with, or something that really helped you get through a tough time when you were first starting out?
Yeah, I had a mentor of mine that really helped me out. He recommended a book. It's called The Artist Way. And this book really opened up kind of like my overthinking of artistic creation. And it was just like, just wake up and write a page or paragraph about how you feel a day. Don't necessarily think about it as a work of art or as a piece of creation. Just write how you feel. And that got me unlocking some thoughts that I might have not necessarily wrote about had not been prompted to. So that kind of changed my writing style a lot, because it allowed me to write about some really personal stuff that I wouldn't touch on.
I've definitely heard, I know in the past 2 years I've kind of studied like how writing things down is a lot better approach to like really accomplishing goals in general in your whole life. Like, when you write them down, it kind of holds you to that. It holds you accountable. You know what I mean? Like, if I write it down, I have to accomplish this. And from that perspective, it kind of sounds like, you know, if I write it down, like, I understand it a whole lot better. You know what I mean? Even if it was something you were thinking of that you kind of didn't want to like put out there, if you write it down, like you can almost cope with the idea better if you're seeing it with your own eyes. You know what I mean?
And then plus you have a now notion to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Like you said, like once you've seen it with your own eyes, there's a human instinct to like want to cross that off as a sense of accomplishment, even if it's something little. Me and my wife, we share this office in our house, and we most definitely have this huge whiteboard where we write things out before we have our individual goals on the side, and then in the middle we have our family goals and things that we want to accomplish together. My wife is also an entrepreneur, and that's been helping us out a great deal, because we see it every day when we walk in the office and when we leave the office.
Yeah, I had to buy one for myself a few years ago, so I have a whiteboard, and then I also do notes in my phone as well, so I can like see those every single day, and I know like I got to get this done, or I want to do this coming up, and like it's so much better than trying to just remember everything and then end up forgetting later, and like and like we said, you don't hold yourself accountable like that. It's almost the lazy man's way of doing what you're trying to do. You know what I mean? So,
correct.
But yeah, that's definitely something that I feel like everyone kind of needs to put in play a little bit. So not really what, but who do you think when you were young, Jon, who were you listening to music-wise that kind of made you say, I want to do music, as a career? Like, who were the artists you were listening to growing up that inspired what you do now?
Outkast, for sure. Because they were always just like big time innovators, and they always took risks, and they did it with style and effortlessly. Timberland, of course.
Yes.
Pharrell and Jay Dilla.
I really didn't dig into Dilla until I got out of high school, and that was around the time I started producing, and I was like, I've heard of him because like I listened to Common a lot, and Common was obviously close friends with him and everything, and I always remember like Common talking about Dilla like the past like probably 7-8 years on like his albums and everything, and I'm like, I should really dig into his stuff, and then I like just really infatuated with myself with like his discography and everything. Donuts, fucking incredible album, and I was just like, man, this dude is really like, he was really something special. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, I understand, like, why people are so, like, drawn to his music, because you could really feel everything he did. And just the way he would chop up samples and combine it with something totally different and unorthodox and put it in there. Like, I've never heard anybody kind of make music the way that he was making music, you know what I mean?
He literally used the sample as an instrument. Like, he played the MPC as an instrument, and pretty much revolutionized the way modern producers even produce, like the way that we use hand claps now as like sampled snares. Like, that really wasn't a thing until we started doing it. So it's like stuff like that, or moving a snare a little bit behind the beat and having things not necessarily so strongly quantized. Like, these are things that Dilla revolutionized.
The swing on all the songs is incredible. Like, and the thing is, like, people try to like redo it, but like it's never the same as how he would have done it. You know what I mean? Like, there was just something different about every beat that he ever made, honestly. But yeah, Dilla for sure, Timbo too, and Pharrell as well. Like, they're all just legends. Like, no one is doing or has done what they've been able to do in their own way, you know what I mean? So
I've always been fans of people that changed radio, that changed the way that we listened to music. Like, when you think about having 2 songs in one, or like some really incredible outros, like Timberland, a lot of his singles that he gave to people, the outro was a completely different song. And now that's like a thing for most artists to come out with a single. Yeah, that's pretty much 2 songs in one.
It's like a commonplace like thing now, when it used to kind of just be something that happened every once in a while. So, is there anyone other than those people that you would want to collab with one day, or maybe you haven't had a chance to work with, that you're kind of trying to eventually do a song with, or maybe an album?
Yeah, man. I think number one on my list right now is Ty Dolla $ign for sure. I really like Ty's style. It's melodic, it's gritty, straight to the point, and I like his writing a lot.
I didn't know he produced until about a year ago. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He produces a lot of his own stuff, and he produces for a lot of other people too.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite artist producers right now.
Yeah. My one friend, he called Ty Dolla $ign the modern day Nate Dogg, because he's on all these hooks.
Oh yeah.
He said, And I said I never thought of it that way, but you're kind of right. Like, he's like the cheat code for the hooks of songs. You know what I mean? Like, it's been on so
Definitely
many.
a go-to cheat code.
Yeah, with so many different artists too. Who do you think so far has been your favorite artist that you have worked with?
I will say Baby Rose right now. Baby Rose is an incredible talent. Vocally, she's like if Billie Holiday and Amy Winehouse had a baby. She's just got a great sultry voice, and she can write. And she's an incredible writer.
I heard her on, I believe it was Robert Glasper's last mixtape he dropped. I forget what the song was, but yeah, she's incredible. I got to check out more of her stuff, honestly, because I keep seeing her name pop up. I think she just dropped a new song maybe this week or so. I forget what it was, but I've heard that, from what I've heard from her, she's definitely incredible. So I got to dig into more of her stuff. Is there anyone, I know you said you moved to Nashville and everything, but I assume you're still kind of in tune with what's going on in Chicago. Is there any new artists coming out of Chicago that you've either worked with or someone that we might want to look out for coming up?
Out of Chicago, man. There's actually, yeah, man. A comrade of mine, his name is Ace Da Vinci. He's dope. Outside of like my own production partners, because we work together all the time, so I think it'd be selfish for me to say them, because I'm gonna promote their stuff regardless. But of course, Kevin Casanova, which is somebody that I work with closely all the time. But outside of like my own camp, Ace Da Vinci, he's a really nice rapper out of Chicago. Very smart and witty with his punchlines. Has a really nice natural flow, and he produces his stuff. And another artist named Abstract Mind. He's a great storyteller, and just crafts really great music.
Yeah, I'll have to check out most of their stuff, because I always kind of ask, the more established artists and producers, like, who are the people we should be looking out for, you know what I mean? Because I'm always looking for new artists and everything, so I'll have to give them a listen. Has there been anything, maybe recently or just in general, that as far as like your time management, how you manage, I know you said you have a family and everything. Is there any time where you're like, man, I got to do a lot of family stuff today, but I also have projects to finish? Like, has time management ever been an issue for you, or have you kind of developed good time management skills throughout the years?
Oh, yeah, just figuring how to move stuff around. Sometimes it may take a late night session. Sometimes you just get stuff done in the morning. So just figuring out Mondays is normally like my day to like really go in. But I can move it around and kind of do some things at night.
I know some people I know everyone has a different schedule, but I know some people struggle with just kind of getting overwhelmed with, they have school or they have, like we said, a family, but then they're also trying to record. They're trying to do show, which I know shows aren't really a thing right now, but hopefully that's going to be coming back here soon. But it's just interesting to hear how everyone kind of deals with it in their own way. But like we said before, like writing things down and having a schedule, I feel like that helps right there tenfold. So
that, and then I'm always thinking like there's some kid somewhere like wanting to like better himself and doing it at every hour that he can. So that's always in the back of my mind too. It's like there's always somebody out there like trying to out hustle you.
It's always good motivation to kind of keep in the back of your mind, though. So, is there anything that maybe not now, but when you were first kind of getting started, that financially you were kind of just like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this, or did you ever have any issues with money when you first started kind of trying to build a career? I know it's always tough for a lot of people, and you have to learn what to invest in your career. Did you ever face any issues with that?
Oh, yeah, man. Like when I first started, realizing like how much equipment costs and quality production and things like that, got me to the point of where if I couldn't afford to do it, I had to learn how to do it. So I had to learn how to record myself.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn how to mix. I had to learn how to even promoting shows. Like when I wasn't necessarily getting on bills for shows, I was like, cool. Started hosting shows to get cool with the club owners and the club managers, so then I could host my own shows and book my own events. Mm-hmm. So that, like, it just forced me to be put into a position where I had to learn how to manage all of these things myself if I couldn't necessarily afford it. So it helped out in the long run.
Yeah, I was about to say, it kind of sounds like it was almost a good thing, too. Like, it puts the pressure on you you have to figure it out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it, man. It's like if you really want to do it, you will find a way to make it happen.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people don't always understand that. Like, they kind of think they don't have to invest in themselves and they don't have to really learn a ton of skills. They'll just pay someone to do it. But, like, I can just speak from personal experience from just, like, the last few years of just learning how to do a lot more than I even thought I needed to do. It's helped me so much. Just be able to grow on my own and not have to rely on a bunch of other people, you know what I mean? So I think that's always something that everyone can learn from. So if you could go back 10 years ago, Jon, and kind of tell yourself anything, maybe give yourself any advice about life or music or whatever, is there anything you'd say, or would you kind of just leave what happened happen?
No, I would definitely tell myself these two things, and they contradict each other, but I think me saying it, I would know what I mean to be. I would tell myself, hurry up, and then also slow down. So those are things that I would most definitely tell to myself 10 years earlier. Like, hurry up and get some things figured out, but then also once you get there, slow down. Like, have my checkpoints of places that I need to get quickly, but then once I'm there, slow down and recalibrate to go to my next spot.
That's an interesting one. I haven't heard a response like that yet, so that's a good one though. 10 years from now, where do you think you want to be in music or in life?
10 years from now, I would like to be helping younger artists kind of speed up the process of things that I've learned. And I would like to have an agency of where I'm placing music as well as doing, like, artist development. Those are big passions of mine. That's awesome, because I know it's always important to give back, too, you know what I mean? Like, we always want to help the next generation and help everyone we can, so that's great to hear. So hopefully that can happen for you. Do you have any albums or projects you have in the works that you kind of want to let us know about? Yeah, man. I'm actually working on a follow-up for my last project, Song She Gets Dressed To. Just really started picking up the ball on that, and in the writing phase, so it should be done sometime. Hopefully by Valentine's Day of next year.
Nice. That'll be here before we know it, because it feels like time's just flying. So
exactly.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing it though. Where can fans find you on social media, Jon?
I am at JONCONTENT, Jon Content, and that's on everything. Twitter, IG, Facebook, all that stuff. So wherever there's something, that's where I'm at Jon Content.
Awesome. Any final words of wisdom today?
Just everything, how I always say, man, do it in love and spread love. That's it.
Well, Jon, that's all I had for you today. Like I said, I appreciate you getting back with me. I know I made you wait a while, but I think it was worth it to get you on here and to kind of have you share your story a little bit. And hopefully we can do this again sometime. I got your number and everything, so, I'll be in touch, man.
Yeah, you had some great questions, and thank you for having me.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. That was episode 20. We'll be back the same time next week. As always, if you want to, support, hit that support button on your platform, whether you're on Apple, Spotify, no matter where it is. And like I said, we'll see you next week. Thanks.